Morning to all. I'm Frederique Aubert. I'm the head of the Culture Unit of the UNESCO Regional Bureau for Science and Culture in Europe, located in Venice. And I'm pleased to present to you today the World Heritage Sites as laboratories for sustainable development, linking culture, nature, and communities in the Mediterranean. When you look at the Mediterranean from above, this deep blue sea surrounded by mountains, islands, and ancient cities, you don't see geography. You see history, memory, and identity. From the Minoan Palatial Center in Greece to the old city of Dubrovnik in Croatia. From Venice and its lagoon in Italy to the historic centers of Berat and Gjirokastra in Albania. The Mediterranean tells the story of humanities, creativities, and resilience. It's no coincidence that this region holds one of the highest concentration of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the world. Across Mediterranean countries, World Heritage listings are overwhelmingly shaped by cultural heritage. Globally, by the end of 2024 and into 2025, UNESCO has inscribed 1,248 World Heritage Sites, about 78% cultural, 19% natural, and 3% mixed. This pattern is even more pronounced in the Mediterranean. A regional assessment from 2016 found that roughly 98% of the World Heritage property in the Mediterranean countries were cultural, with natural and mixed making up only a small share. This strong concentration reflects the region's long history as a crossroad of civilization, architecture, landscape, and urban transition, and it continues to shape conservation strategy, governance priorities, and heritage valorization across the Mediterranean. Each of these places reflects centuries of interaction between people and their environment. There are no isolated monuments. They are living landscapes shaped by knowledge, tradition, and a profound respect for the balance between culture and nature. Today, as we face the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, and social inequality, these sites take on new meaning. Indeed, they are not only to be protected, they can teach us how to live more sustainably. The UNESCO Culture Program, Major Program 4, invites us to move beyond the idea that culture and nature belong to separate worlds. In its 41C5 documents, the organization calls for the protecting, promoting, and sustainably managing heritage in all its forms, and for using culture as a driver and an enabler of sustainable development. This is precisely what the World Heritage Convention of 1972 envisioned, a recognition that cultural monuments and natural wonders are parts of one universal heritage in humanity. In Mediterranean context, this unity is obvious. A terraced landscape in the Cinque Terre or the rice paddies of Valencia are both ecological system and cultural creation. The olive groves of Crete or the cedar forest of Lebanon are more than natural ecosystem. They are living archives of human ingenuity, care, and adaptation. The heritage here is not frozen in time, it's constantly negotiated between memory and modernity, conservation and change. World Heritage Sites can act as living laboratories, places where people, heritage, and the environment interact to test and demonstrate pathway towards sustainability. Think, for example, of the historic center of Rhodes in Greece, where traditional handcrafts and artisans' workshops within the medieval walls continue to sustain cultural practices and skill skills passed down through generation, linking local communities to their heritage in an historic city increasingly shaped by tourism. Or think also of the Diyarbakir fortress and the Hefzer garden cultural landscape in Turkey, where communities continue to cultivate and forage along fertile riverine land nourished by the Tigris, linking food production, local cuisine, and everyday community life. Or also think of the Stari Grad plain in Croatia, where traditional farming practices have continued for over 2,400 years, enduring despite rural depopulation and changing economic conditions. Each of these sites embodies the challenges and the opportunity of making heritage building part of the sustainable future. Under UNESCO World Heritage and Sustainable Development Policy, adopted in 2015, states parties are encouraged to ensure that World Heritage contribute to environmental sustainability, inclusive social development, and the well-being of local communities. In other words, heritage is not a luxury, it's a tool for achieving the SDGs, especially Goal 11.4, which call for strengthening efforts to protect and safeguard the world cultural and natural heritage. But sustainability does not come from stone and soil. It comes from people. World Heritage Sites are living communities before they are tourist destinations. The Culture Programme 4 insists on participation, inclusion, and capacity building as foundation for safeguarding heritage. This means that local communities, farmers, artisans, fishermen, youth, must be part of the story, not just its audience. In the Mediterranean, many World Heritage Sites are still inhabited landscapes. Think of the old town of Corfu in Greece, the natural and cultural historical region of Kotor in Montenegro, or the city of La Valletta in Malta. In these places, intangible traditions, songs, crafts, culinary practices, seasonal rituals keep the spirit of the place alive. They remind us that conservation is not about freezing past, it's about transmitting values, knowledge, and creativity. When students and young professionals engage with these communities, they don't just study heritage, they learn from it. They learn how local wisdom can inform climate adaptation, how community engagement can make tourism more responsible, and how intergenerational learning can build pride and resilience. UNESCO Cultural Programme 4 is structured around the idea that heritage and creativity are central to peace, inclusion, and sustainability. In practical terms, it promotes integrated heritage management, linking conservation with development plan, cultural landscape and mixed sites as models for balancing nature and culture, sustainable tourism that benefits local people and protect ecosystem, education and youth engagement so that heritage becomes a tool for lifelong learning. The World Heritage Center translates this vision into action through initiatives such as the World Heritage Education Program and Dive into Heritage, which use digital tools to connect students and communities to sites around the world. These programs show that heritage is not only something to visit, it is something to understand, share, and act upon. For students like you, this means the opportunity to become heritage actors, not just observers, to design projects, propose solutions, and build partnerships that align culture and sustainability. The future of the Mediterranean will depend on our ability to protect what makes it unique, its extraordinary mosaic of cultures, landscape, and people. World Heritage Sites are not only treasures of the past, they are laboratories for tomorrow's world. They show that sustainable development is not just a technical goal, but a cultural choice, a way of living that respects the lessons of history and the limits of nature. As future professional, researcher, and citizen, your role is absolutely essential. By working with heritage, you are not only preserving stones or tradition, you are shaping the values, identity, and solidarities that will guide our common future. So let's see world heritage not as something distant or static, but as a living classroom open to all. In its beauty and fragility, it teaches us the most fundamental lesson of all, that caring for the past is also caring for the planet and for each other. I thank you for your attention.